What's up everyone, and welcome on back to the channel. A puff piece written by my favorite hack entertainment journalist came out propping up failed movie star Zachary Levi. This article from Variety puffs Zachary Levi up, being very complimentary towards him, leaving out very key information and needed context. But the journalist leaves all of that out to paint a better picture and prop up the piece of shit that is Zachary Levi. And all of that pisses me off, especially because this same journalist has been condemned by several journalists and celebrities for her shit reporting and her hit pieces on Rachel Zegler and Melissa Barrera. And it's not just Variety, but this entire month the entertainment media has been propping up pieces of shit in Cannes, like Shia LaBeouf and Kevin Spacey, actors we thought were never coming back, but the entertainment journalists want to push them back on us, like how these actors push themselves onto their victims. So I wanted to break down this reporter's hack journalism, break down this article and its lies, add needed context, and break down the media's reporting on Cannes, and wonder what we can do now that these pieces of shit are back in the spotlight. But before we get into all that, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I do deep dives on the film and TV industry, break down news, and analyze film trends. So if you're into any of that, please subscribe, like, and comment. I know it does feel like I'm begging here, and I kind of am, but it does help push these videos out and find more people like yourself. So thank you so much for watching, but let's get into it. Zachary Levi has not had a hit in 6 years, but somehow the media is selling him as a misunderstood star on the rise. And the article doing most of that heavy lifting was written by hack journalist Tatiana Siegel, who has a clear pattern of omitting facts and context to push her narrative. She's the same one who blamed Rachel Zegler's tweet for Snow White bombing and wrote a hit piece on Melissa Barrera just for sharing a fundraiser for Palestinian refugees. But now Tatiana Siegel is back with her latest article trying to put shit actor and failed box office star Zachary Levi right back into the spotlight. Now Zachary Levi is also a highly controversial star, right? And I say star in very loose terms. The only time he's really been in the news cycle these past couple of years has been either from his shit movies that fail at the box office like Harold and the Purple Crayon, or when he's been backing up the worm-eaten brain that is RFK Jr. or known sexual abuser Donald Trump. And look, I don't want to get too political about Zachary Levi's views because it's a little biased on my end, and also I don't really see the point of just complaining about that. But I will talk about Tatiana's shit writing. Tatiana states that Zachary Levi began to stumble as a movie star and his career is cooling down. Now, he did not stumble. He fell right off a 20-story building right onto his fucking face and left a cartoon hole in the ground like a fucking Looney Tune. She stated that Melissa Barrera's Hollywood prospects are looking dim, but Zachary Levi, he's just stumbling and cooling off. But no, Zachary Levi is a box office failure. He has not had a single profitable movie since 2019. In 6 years, he has been the star of 4 live-action films that went to theaters, and he was the lead role in all of them, and all of them bombed at the box office. And even Shazam in 2019 was just a modest success, making $360 million on a budget of 90 to 100. Even his highest grossing movie was Thor Ragnarok, where I'm assuming Taika Waititi met him in real life and decided he only needed 2 minutes of screen time. Zachary Levi was in no way a movie star and he failed multiple times, and Tatiana Siegel breezes right past all of that and barely gets into his failed career. Someone did call her out on this on Twitter discussing how Shazam 2 failed at the box office, and she replied stating that Rachel Zegler also starred in Shazam 2. No bias there at all, right, Tatiana? But I do love knowing that Rachel Zegler lives in your head rent-free. And then she goes into his plans for a movie studio. Nothing inherently wrong with that reporting, but then she glazes him up so much more than I've ever seen. She compares him to Aaron Rodgers, which is supposed to be complimentary here, and it's not supposed to be a diss, but it is funny that she's comparing him to a quarterback that is way past his prime, so it actually does work out as a comparison, even if she didn't actually intend to compare him to someone who is equally as washed up. And then she mentions that he is 6'3" for some reason. Why? She's trying to say he doesn't fit the MAGA prototype here, but why mention his height? There are plenty of tall MAGA people out there in the world. It's just like, Tatiana, if you want to fuck him, just try, you don't need to bring up that fact. She then goes on to state that Zachary Levi does not fit the typical MAGA prototype because he likes to sing and he's also voted Democrat before. Which no, not at all. He fits the prototype perfectly. There are so many failed actors who couldn't make it in Hollywood, who who then turn to the right-wing pipeline and claim that it's because of their views is why they don't get work anymore. Zachary Levi will be starring in a movie with Kevin Spacey and Dean Cain on Daily Wire in 5 years. I guarantee it. She then goes into Zachary's religious beliefs as a Christian, glazing him up as a good Christian boy, which she could talk to him about this, about how he's a Christian, and yet he chose to disregard all of his beliefs and support a man who has sexually abused people, conned people, committed crimes, and is overall not a nice person. But that's what a good journalist would do. You know, ask him questions, not just take what he's saying at face value, and actually push him on certain things. That's what a good journalist would do. Not one that's clearly getting paid to write a puff piece. I gotta stop expecting Tatiana Siegel to do her fucking job. And then she continues to glaze him up, stating that he's not the typical conservative because he once spoke out about gay bullying at an Anti-Defamation League Awards ceremony. And of course, Tatiana Siegel leaves out very fucking important context here, as she always does. That ceremony was from 2010. That was 15 fucking years ago. You have to be really reaching in a puff piece if the only proof that you have that this person is in a complete piece of shit is from 15 years ago. She then goes on to glaze him up once again, finding some people who kind of are okay with Zachary Levi. But then she completely lies in her coverage of how Zachary responded to his castmate dying of cancer. Gavin Creel was a Broadway actor who shared the stage with Zachary, and he died in September 2024 from a rare form of cancer. And according to Tatiana, Zachary Levi suggested that COVID vaccines could have played a role in Gavin Creel's death, which is a fucking lie. He said,
and I, without a shadow of a doubt, I believe that Gavin Creel would be alive right now. Right fucking now, he would still be alive if that stuff didn't get put into his body.
That is not suggesting, that is not saying it could have played a part. Zachary Levi fully stated that COVID vaccines were the reason why Gavin died, without any fucking proof or evidence. But Tatiana Siegel did not mention that because that would make Zachary Levi look like the piece of shit that he actually is, and instead lied and downplayed this because she is trying to prop up this failure of a man. And this is a pattern for Tatiana Siegel. She constantly leaves out facts, needed context, or just straight up lies when she wants to prop someone up or take them down, like we saw with Rachel Zegler and Melissa Barrera. And this is also a pattern not just for Tatiana, but all of entertainment journalism recently. The Cannes Festival happened this past couple of weeks, and there were quite the number of sexual abusers in attendance. If you were at Cannes and used that Find Sex Offender app that they have, that shit would light up more than it would at Diddy's house. And instead of ignoring these abusers, as they should have, they instead propped them up, like Kevin Spacey, where the media said he was on a comeback journey. They breezed right past his multiple allegations and did not go into the detail of these allegations spanning all the way back to 1986, with over 20 people claiming inappropriate behavior. But entertainment journalism wants you to forget all of that and remind you that one producer claims that a lot of people like him and you should give him a second chance. And then they gave the spotlight to another abuser, Shia LaBeouf, who's on his third, fourth, maybe fifth comeback tour, and he's on the whole I know I was a piece of shit but now I've learned tour again. But seriously, there have been so many of these comeback tours for Shia LaBeouf. In 2016, he had a Variety report come out that he is now sober and better. But then, in 2017, he was arrested and went on a racist rant. But then, in 2019, he was like, oh, my dad abused me, but I'm learning, and you should go see Honey Boy. But then, in 2020, he got sued for sexual battery and assault. But then, in 2022, he converted to Catholicism and said he lied about his dad abusing him, and he only did it to paint himself as a victim, and he needs to repair himself. And now this documentary apparently shows how much of a piece of shit Shia LaBeouf really is, detailing his experimental theater company and how he abused students. But, you know, he's coming to terms with his failures. I'm sure this has nothing to do with his upcoming court case about sexual battery and assault later on this year. Now, Variety does go pretty in-depth into their writing on Shia LaBeouf and his allegations. They are still putting him in the spotlight, which I do not like, but at least they are showing his allegations, so I gotta give him props there. And naturally, this article is not written by Tatiana Siegel. So why are all these media companies suddenly gassing up these awful people? Is it really because Trump is now in office and now the tide is turning more conservative? I personally don't think it is. The Me Too movement happened during Trump's term and the media was all over that and they were very critical at the time. Personally, I think it's that these entertainment outlets have become morally bankrupt, especially Tatiana Siegel. And they're just platforming these pieces of shit because they need these clicks and they need those hits, and that is what entertainment journalism has come to. I think they have devolved into this place where they will happily platform these pieces of shit because they know it will get them the clicks that they need to survive financially. They're in this place where they don't want to piss off these performers who are clearly problematic because they need the clicks, and that leads them to also give them softball questions and makes them purposely leave out facts and context from their reporting. So what can we do about this? Personally, I think you should make your voice be heard either online or by emailing them and flood them with that. You can find Variety's email very easily online. Now, I'm not saying go and attack these reporters directly or harass them online. Despite me royally hating Tatiana Siegel, I personally do think that she should be fired, but I don't think that she should be attacked on Twitter daily. But you can directly email the entities and corporations that employ said hack writers. Attack those corporate entities. They don't have feelings. And the best thing I think you can do is to ignore them. Don't platform them, even if it's to show how much you hate them. Don't give them that click that they need financially, and instead ignore them entirely. Just like how Tatiana Siegel ignores good journalism. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. Please don't forget to like and comment on this video, and if you subscribe, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.